Hey, it's Shana. Welcome to Controlled Chaos, the podcast where we dive into the world of recovery, sharing stories of experience, strength, and hope from those who have been there and made it through. No matter where you are in your battle with addiction, alcoholism, or mental health struggles, know that there is a way out. Throughout my sobriety journey, I have often felt alone and doubted my ability to even stay sober. Starting this podcast in my room just 2 months ago, I had a dream of reaching people just like me, those who felt hopeless. As a woman in recovery, I began with 0 followers, but with a dream of offering hope to even just one person. The mission of this podcast is to connect, inspire, and provide hope to those feeling lost or struggling with addiction. Remember, the opposite of addiction and isolation is sobriety and connection. Let's come together through the Controlled Chaos podcast and support each other on the journey to healing and growth. Hit that subscribe button, leave a review, and let's build a community of support. My name is Shana, and I'm your host today for Controlled Chaos, and we have an amazing guest today, and I'm gonna let her introduce herself, but I'm so happy to have you here, and the fact that you took time out of your, I know, busy schedule and moving and all of that. I'm just so blessed and humbled. So with that, take it away.
Thank you. My name is Braunwyn Spinner, which is very new. I just changed my last name. I used to be Braunwyn Windham. I was on the show Real Housewives for a while, and now I am a single mom of 4 kids. 3 have moved out of the house. I have 7 total, but 4 that are still at home. And I am just paving my way through this new normal.
I love that so much. So, I guess most of us that know who you are know you from the Real Housewives, obviously. But can you tell us, like, about before that? Like, who were you in kind of like growing up, all of that stuff?
I mean, honestly, who was I before I got sober? I don't know. Like that is such a bigger question because it really took me getting sober to figure out who I was. Who did I think I was? I grew up in Laguna, which is a little town in Orange County. I was the fun girl. My mom had gone back to school to become an MD, so I was raised by my grandpa. And I had like a very normal life. I hung out at the beach. I hang out with my friends. A lot of them I'm still friends with today. Just got off the phone with one of them. And it was just pretty much a normal upbringing. And we lived in a surfer town. And that was sort of what I did. And then when I got into high school, I started getting into a little bit of trouble. Not big trouble, just, drinking, sneaking out, kind of normal trouble. But my mom was like, absolutely not. So I went to boarding school, which I loved because instead of having a parent keeping an eye on you, we had a room mom who, looking back, she was 23. At the time, I thought she was an adult, but now I'm like, she didn't care what we were doing. So we had the best time. We got into so much trouble, but no one knew. I always joke about the fact that it was before cell phones and really before the internet. So we would tell school we were going home. We'd tell home we were staying at school, and we would just take off for the weekends. Like, I look back, I'm like, how did we survive? And we drank, we did drugs, we had a great time. We studied hard and we played hard. And so by the time I got to college, I had already gotten that away from home on my own thing out of my system. And that's when I met my ex-husband. And I was never career track. Like a lot of my friends wanted to be doctors and lawyers. And I was like, I want to be a mom. I want to be a stay-at-home mom. I want to create that stable life that I had never had growing up. So I moved around a lot of different family members. And my ex-husband was on board with it. He was like, okay. And that was really it. And then the next 20 years of my life, I was having children. When I wasn't pregnant or nursing, because I nursed all the kids for a year or two, then I was partying, I was drinking. And I think looking back from my first drink, I was 14. I never drank normal. I drank till I threw up or blacked out. And that was just what I thought was the way to drink. And it wasn't until I got on the show and I had my behavior mirrored back at me, like literally watching scenes that I had no memory of filming, that I really had to take a hard look at myself and go, this can't continue. You have to change.
Right. Now, when you talked about kind of how you were growing up, I know you said a little bit about you kind of went to family members because your mom was in school. A lot of people think that like alcoholism, addictions, things like that, they come from trauma. Do you feel like your childhood was traumatic or kind of just like you felt a little lonely?
I mean, not really. I lived with my cousin. She was like my
Mhm.
sister. So
Yeah.
her mom is now in recovery, but at the
Mhm.
time was active in her addiction. So I had, she was my best friend. We were like sisters. We lived with my grandpa, who was like my dad. Mine didn't come from any big trauma. Like,
Mhm.
my dad wasn't in my life. I love him dearly. He passed away when I was young. So he wasn't in my life. Um, my mom had sort of was on her career path.
Right.
So, like little traumas, I didn't grow up with my parents, but nothing bad. My
Mhm.
alcoholism is 100% genetic. I was born this way. My
Yeah.
dad, my dad passed away from this disease.
Okay. I asked that because a lot of people do assume it's trauma, first of all. And also, a lot of people, I love that you said not big trauma, but little traumas, right? A
Right.
lot of people think if it's not something that's like, rape or, something big, like I was robbed or something like that, that it maybe doesn't count. But those little traumas do add up. Hey, it's like, they kind of start to affect you. But I think mine was also very genetic. So
Yeah.
very
And that
big. My
and that's
grandma was an
for
alcoholic, and I remember that from the time I was little.
And I think that's so important to talk about because when you're talking about this is a disease, just like cancer
Yeah.
would be, and we really have to destigmatize it. And I'm so honest with my kids because I have 7 of them. One of them is
Mm.
bound, the odds are in the favor that one of them is also going to struggle with this. So I've always
Right.
tried to be really open and honest with everyone about this because the only thing I can control, I'm so lucky that the disease I have is alcoholism because I can control not taking that first drink.
Right.
That is actually pretty powerful that we have a disease that we can prevent. And
Yeah.
so I do want to be very open and honest with my children. And my daughter, my 24-year-old, she has such a good rule. She's like, I never want to drink when I'm sad, and I never want to drink when I'm too happy. And that's sort of
Okay.
how she's sort of rationalized it. And she's not a big drinker. She's a homebody, but
Mhm.
she knows that those coping mechanisms that I used, oh, it's a celebration. Oh, I'm super depressed. She doesn't want that to become her crutch.
I love that you taught her that or that she thinks that too, because even when I'm talking to a lot of my clients, I do sober coaching. They're like, I don't even know what was wrong. I wasn't sad. I was happy. And it's like, no, no, no. Like, we don't like to feel anything.
Yeah.
Flat line, right? If you're excited, you want to be more excited. If you're sad, you want to be less sad. It's like, I want to control the feeling, right? And a lot of
And
people don't catch that happy part.
exactly. And I think it's so ingrained in our culture that celebrations involve alcohol. And we
Yeah.
really need to rewrite the script around that. Like, I still celebrate so many things and I have so much fun. And if I'm being totally honest, I have more fun because I'm not having to manage, well, how long am I going to stay awake for? Or how am I going to get home? Or do I need to do enough grocery shopping to get the kids to the weekend because I'm going to be hungover? So,
Right.
I just get to go out, get my butt home, go to bed, and then wake up and, the next day is fine. And there's such a I think for me, when I first got sober, because I was always the fun girl, the party girl,
Mhm.
having to figure out who I was without that, like who am I really? I'm actually not that fun. you know? I I love to be in bed by like 7 and watch TV for a couple hours, like, but I genuinely love that.
Same.
Like when I go out, I have a great time, but I really like my bed.
I do also. I think it's so funny. Me and my husband always get in bed at 8 o'clock, watch our little we watch like Dateline and stuff, and then I have to turn it off to something good before I go to sleep because I can't sleep with that stuff. But
I
no,
fall
I'm like, I
asleep to
have to go to
murder.
bed early.
Yeah, I love it. And I think a lot of us have an idea of who we are. That's what you said, like, who was I growing up? I don't know. I really, because I was so insecure, I was so uncomfortable in my own skin, and having to get over that anxiety and that social awkwardness, mine didn't go away when I got out of junior high. Mine continued with me my entire adult life, not feeling like I fit in, not thinking that other, women liked me when I try to make friends. Like I was always sort of a chameleon. And I think alcohol was the lubricant that made that anxiety go away. And it took me, I would say, into my third year of sobriety to really start working on those aspects of myself. Why am I so uncomfortable being me? And I think it'll be 5 years in about 9 days.
Oh my goodness, that is so amazing.
And
So when you got onto the show, you said it was kind of like a mirror back to you. When you talk about like the insecurities and all of that that you felt and alcohol kind of, calm that down, what did this show do with your insecurities? Because I would assume going on a show where everybody is like beautiful, there's all these parties, there's this like money and all this stuff. Does it make you more insecure? Like, is that
there
hard?
was, yes and no. So obviously the first time I met Tamara, I was like starstruck. We actually had to
Yeah.
refilm the scene because when she opened the door to her house, I went, and they're like, okay, that's not normal. That's not how you greet people. And I was like, sorry.
You're like, let's go back. Let's start
Yeah.
over.
Like, oh, yeah. So on one hand, there was the insecurities with kind of keeping up with the idea of who the housewives were, because I was never that girl. I am flip-flops and t-shirts. I grew up on the beach. I went surfing in Kauai. I was not a Louis Vuitton handbag person and
Right.
designer clothes. That's just never been important to me. It still isn't. So there was sort of like, okay, I have to sort of become an image of what I've seen on TV, not from them. That was so totally self-imposed. But then the other aspect of it was when you're filming and you get this little taste of celebrity, it feeds your ego. And I found that was as addictive as any drug I've ever done.
I would guess so, because when you come from this like insecure place, which a lot of us do who have alcoholism addiction, right? A lot of us have that like natural, no matter what you look like, no matter what you have, there's like something inside that you feel like you're not enough, right? So
Right.
then getting that outside validation kind of like pumps up your ego, but it doesn't feel anything in here no matter what,
Right.
because it's outside validation that comes and goes, and also comes with a million bad comments and all this stuff that you guys probably have to read, right? Like
Read through my comments on the last post I just wrote,
whew,
and it's intense. So, but it did feel that I like not for real, but it did sort of give me that validation.
right,
Um, and I wasn't at a point in my life where I was aware enough to know, like we call it that God-sized hole, that it
yes,
wasn't going to fill that. Nothing could. And so, but for a short amount of time, it did fill that void, and it gave me a sense of being good enough. And I'll be the first to admit it. I loved being on show. I loved being the attention and all of that. And when I was fired, I really was lucky though that I was working a program, because I had to 12-step myself through that. And that's
right,
why I think you see a lot of people on these shows when they leave, they sort of falter and whatever, because they don't have the tools to say, okay, fame is an addiction, just like alcohol. How am I going to get back to a normal place in life?
right.
And that was hard. That was definitely hard. And as I lost the show, I also lost my marriage. I lost all financial security. Like my entire life as I knew it was gone. And thank goodness I had a program and a good support system to take the steps to kind of get back. Not to say I didn't go a little crazy with some young girls for a minute. I did have my
Right.
moments of
You gotta have a moment, right?
I I
During
I did have a little bit of a midlife crisis, but I
right.
was able to kind of tone it in and be like, okay, you're making some bad choices right now. You need to focus on you.
Okay, so you're on this show. We left off there, and it's kind of pumped up your ego a little bit. You're still drinking, but you're kind of starting to see like this mirror, like you're seeing how you're acting or what's happening. What happens then?
I we were going back to filming in a couple days. It was the second season, and I knew I couldn't drink anymore. I had gone to a party in Miami. Kelly had hosted a party for her now husband's, I think it was his 60th birthday. And I had sworn I would never do cocaine again because I was a mom and like that was it. And I did. And I did it there. And I went on a 3-day bender. And in the middle of the night, at this point, I'm drinking about every 15 minutes to keep the shakes from going away.
Yeah.
Um, and I went into the room that Sean was sleeping in, and I said, I can't do this. You literally need to sit on me. I can't drink anymore. I have to quit. And it was one of those epiphanies you have. I call them God shots.
Yeah.
Where it's almost like another voice outside of you gives you the clarity you need. And so I went into the room. He literally sat on me. We flew home, and I detoxed in my living room. The next day, my producer Thomas, who I love dearly, came to talk to me like, what's your storyline this year? They come and have like a little pre meeting with you to see like what's going on in your life, how are we gonna produce this. And I told him that I was on a cleanse, I wasn't going to drink anymore, and that was it. and
Right.
then and then I had a thought of how am I really going to do this? How am I going to film this show sober? Because the anxiety I had, because no one on my cast liked me. And Tamara wasn't coming back. She was the only friend I had. And so I was like, okay, I'm going to have to film an entire season with women who literally hate me and want to destroy my life. That's not easy.
No.
Like,
And Tamara's the friend to have. She's the one with the mouth.
yeah, and she and
she's out.
I will stand up for her to the day I die. She really is. I saw her last season. She comes across sometimes not very kind, but she really is one of the best people I know. So
I feel like she sticks up for like what's in her heart, right? Whether
yes,
people look at it crazy or look at it like it's good, it doesn't matter. She's gonna
she
like
calls out
stand
bullshit.
for it.
If you're an authentic, real person, she'll have your back.
I
But
appreciate that.
yeah, and that's it. She knows how much people are lying, and it drives her crazy. So I called Captain Sandy. I had known her through her now wife, who was also from Orange County. And I was like, look, this is because I knew she'd been sober for 30 years. And I was like, I need some help. I am an alcoholic. I'm going back to filming, but I don't want to tell anyone. And
So up to this point, you had quit drinking, but really like by yourself, right?
yeah, I'm like 3 days sober right now.
Okay.
Like, yeah, like we're going on day 3, and we start filming in another week. And
Okay.
she said to me, "You had no problem getting drunk on camera. Why are you having a hard time getting sober? Because then you'll be accountable." And I was like, "You're right. If I want to actually stay sober, I have to do this on camera because then I can't take it back."
Right.
And so I called my producer. I hung up the phone with her. I called my producer without thinking it through. And I was like, here's the truth. I'm an alcoholic. And that was it. Once I uttered those words, it was sort of like, okay, now you have to show up. Now you have to be accountable. And once it aired, because filming, no one on my cast believed me, which was very hard. And then when it aired, a lot of people didn't believe me too. They thought I was doing it for a storyline. And I was like, no one would make this up for a storyline. Like, and I was crazy that second season. And like, they would want me to show up to things and stay with the cast. And I'm like, I can't do that. I can't go spend the night with a bunch of women that are drinking when I have 6 weeks of sobriety under my belt. I'm going to a party with tequila tasting. What the cameras didn't show was me trying to leave and them saying, if you don't get back in there, you're fired. And me hiding behind the trash cans because the cameras couldn't find me, crying hysterically. Like, it was ugly.
Well, and for those of you guys who don't know, I was at home during my last detox because I got sober numerous times and couldn't figure out how to stay sober for a long time. But this last time was the longest. I'm at 3 years now. Before I would always thank you. I would always make it to like 2 months, 3 months, and then I would relapse just over and over again for years. And um, it was because I was so emotional and so crazy. And I would look around and my life was so tore up compared to like where I thought it should be that I was like, no way. And I would just go back to drinking, like even after rehab, whatever. So I want to like highlight what you said. Like, I wasn't on a TV show and I was a nutcase. Like, I really had to, I think it was actually this last third year that I was like, yo, like, you need like some therapy and to like work on your anger and like work on your, because at first we have this ego, right? Even though we have like self esteem issues. But I was like, these people are wrong. Like, I'm fighting with everyone, right? You're wrong,
Yeah.
though.
Yeah.
It's like, does
You
it
think you
really
know a lot
matter?
until you realize you don't know much. And if anyone's
No.
watching, therapy is great.
And a good therapist, someone who really digs. For me, I would go to therapy even in treatment, and I was always like the sweet girl. Like, I was never like out fighting with people or doing whatever. So everyone thought I was fine. So I would go to counseling and we'd be talking about, like, I'm going to do this when I leave, or it was never like anything deep. And then when I really said, like, yo, I have like so much anger towards everything. Like my emotions are like up here all the time. And really starting to like work through those things and find different coping mechanisms because you're not used to feeling much.
Right.
So everything
Yeah.
feels so intense. You're
Did
not
you?
really crazy.
I mean, I might be crazy. I also found that I didn't know. I was so like the name of your podcast, Chaos. I was so used to the chaos that calm was boring.
Yes. See, I
Act,
was a single mom of three. I had my first daughter when I was 16. And that's why I called my podcast and business Controlled Chaos, because I always almost was proud of like, I have all this going on and I keep it together by myself. Forget that I'm like almost dying from alcoholism, right? But I was so
yeah,
proud, like, it's all mine.
right. It's and that's sort of you have to
Yeah.
relearn
Like,
that calm is not boring and that chaos isn't normal.
right.
The
It's okay for
insanity
me to
that
have a little control in my life. I still
yeah,
like to be fun between the hours of 8 and 8.
yeah.
But it's okay for things to be okay. Like, I first got in my marriage now, and it's like, we never fight. And at first I was like waiting, like, what is wrong with you? Like, what are you what are we doing? And it was like, oh, this is like a healthy relationship. Like, it all felt so
Is
awkward.
isn't that crazy that healthy relationships feel uncomfortable because you're
Yeah, I
not
had
used to
no
them?
idea what to
Yeah.
do. No idea what to do. I would like we would get like not agree, and I would be like freaking out, and I'm like, would you say something? And he's like, well, I just didn't want to say anything that I didn't mean. I was trying to like wait a second. And I'm like, what? I'm sorry,
It-
what?
yeah, it is. You have to learn that what a new normal is. And once you sort of settle into it, it's so great.
It is. It's amazing. Like, it's amazing. So tell me, what has changed and what does life look like for you? Because I know divorce and like changing career, like all of that is hard, but you
Yeah.
look happy.
Yes. And that you know, took some time and I wanted
Mm.
everything to come instantly and just that doesn't happen. Nothing comes instantly. But when you start to calm down and you focus on the next step and you sort of listen to what the universe provides, things come. So, I found a very healthy, stable partner. I got remarried.
Yay.
Um, when I left my marriage, I left without alimony or child support. So
Mhm.
now I'm raising, four young kids with no help. And I had gone from a pretty expensive lifestyle
Right.
to now I have a much simpler lifestyle. I moved to the country in Tennessee. My life is just simple and I love it. So, I mean, I'm with a woman. I think that's probably the biggest change. I'm not drinking. I went back to school,
Okay. What
which
are you going to school for?
so right now so I dropped out my freshman year of college. So right
Okay.
now I'm just working on getting my BA. My goal is to be pre-law and then go to law school to help other women dealing with the family court systems because the things that I have learned have shocked me.
I love it.
I don't think you realize, like, I didn't think it was possible after we were married for 23 years to walk away with no child support or alimony.
Right.
That would have shocked me. And so I would love to help other women sort of navigate something that seems unnavigatable at times. And
Yeah.
then I start school in like 6 days to go to esthetician school. So I can sort of work in the beauty industry and kind of go down that route too, because I actually need to pay my bills while I'm in law school.
Right. I love that for you though. So cool. So you're living all in the country now. Was it, can I ask, was it hard to go from having so much to having less, or does it really just feel easier to just have what you, I don't want to say what you need because you're doing good, right? But like
Yeah,
to not have this abundance of crazy stuff.
it is. Well, I shopped and I planned parties to kind of
Mhm.
fill that void.
Yeah.
And when you're genuinely happy, you don't need a sweater to make you feel better. You know what I
Right.
mean? You don't need
And
to
you probably
plan.
have all the sweaters, right? Like how many can you
Yeah,
actually
I
get?
have. How many cream sweaters does one need? And like, I don't need to plan a huge party to tune out. I can have a couple friends over. My life is so much smaller in some ways, but so much bigger in the ways that matter.
I love that. So can we talk about dating a woman? And if you're not comfortable, you can tell me no. But have you ever dated a woman before? Is this new? Like what, how
Well,
did that come about?
I always slept with women. So even when I
Okay.
was married, we sort of had an agreement I could still sleep with women. So,
Okay.
but I grew up in the 80s and 90s and I love pink. I love makeup. So it never
I'm
occurred to
all
me that I
pink,
was gay.
girl.
Like, yeah, it never occurred to me. I'm like, oh, I don't like flannel. I must not be gay. Because that was sort of what we were shown when I was growing up. And being gay wasn't a good thing. It was still a slur. We still made fun of people. We used it as an insult. It literally never occurred to me. I'm like, no, I'm a straight woman that likes to sleep with women sometimes because, oh, I'm crazy. Um, so the first time I kissed a woman sober, it was the girl Chris I was dating, the one I came out with on the show, who
Mhm.
amazing girl. I love her dearly. Um, but it was such a transformative experience being able to kiss her, being sober, and being like, I am dating a woman. And it felt like home. The only way I can describe it is like I was wearing the wrong size coat for 43 years. And all of a sudden I put on one that fit. And then when I met Jen, we met on Instagram. She was living in another country when we met. And just, she felt like home. And there's no other way to describe it. She just felt like home. You know, she
I'm
was my
so
person.
happy for you. That is so cool. I get what you mean because it's so like accepted and normal now, which is amazing. But I am 39 and my brothers and sisters, I have two sisters and a brother, and they're all about 10, 11 years older than me. And my brother is gay, and we all knew it like growing up the whole time.
Right.
My dad, not so much. And as it started to come out, it started to be like this big deal. And my dad was like very upset by it. And my dad is a really good dad, but I'll say he did not handle that well. He, was a black man from Detroit, and he was very like my dad would roll over in his grave, and like he was not good about it, and it was like a super big deal in my house. It was hard. My brother ended up moving away and going to Georgetown. He ended up graduating as a doctor from Yale, and he like went to sow his oats there because he was like, this little small town doesn't get it and doesn't accept me. And it's so weird when I talk to people about it now because people are like, yeah, he's gay, so.
Right. It's
And I'm
true.
like, no, it was so bad in my house. Like
How is your dad
knockdown,
now?
drag out fights. Huh?
How is your dad with him now?
He's really good now. And
Okay.
like that took my brother not speaking to all of us for quite some time, quite a few years, probably like 5 years.
Well, that's hard.
He was really like hurt by it. And then obviously my dad has grown and the world has changed,
Yeah.
right? But my dad was very like, you're not allowed to be gay. You're a boy. And it was his only boy, right? And we're all like, he's been like this since he was born. Like it's very clear to everyone but you.
That's
You know,
hard. That's
before he
hard.
ever even came out, it was like we all knew,
No.
right? So it was just a very weird thing for my dad, and I feel what you're saying, because it was like not at all accepted, especially like men, right?
It was just a different time when we didn't have the representation, you know?
No,
And
right.
that's the thing. And now you go on Instagram, you people on the LGBTQ spectrum is sort of
Yes.
everyone, you know, and it's just getting so much easier now to talk about gender and sexuality as a spectrum, not just black or white. And I
Yes.
love that because even now, like the fact that I'm a lesbian, I'm like, oh, that's so weird because I don't like all women. I just love Jen, you know, but like, that's like,
Yes.
she's my person. It doesn't matter what package she came in. She would be my person.
I love that. That's so amazing. So if you met somebody who needed to get sober, wanted to get sober, what would you want them to know? Like what would you tell them?
I think going on what you said about your own journey, if you're
Mhm.
getting sober and you're getting, a month, 2, 3 months under your belt, and then you're going back out there, you're doing the hardest part over and over and over again. That is not sobriety. Those first few months,
Yes.
that is not what sobriety is. And you're just doing the hardest part over and over. So focus on today. Don't focus on forever. Don't drink today. Just don't drink today.
Yes.
And if the
Yes.
cravings get bad, go to bed. Tomorrow's a new day. Don't drink today. Don't do the hardest part over and over. Give yourself the grace to get to the good part.
I love that. I think had I known that that's not how sobriety felt, right? Because I always thought I have anxiety, I have depression, and that's why I drink. Well, when I stopped drinking for so long, I don't really have those things. I mean, not that I never have anxiety, right? I do, but not on a constant basis where I want to like go lay in bed all day, right?
Right.
So it's like those things perpetuate it, right? It makes it worse. And when you're coming off of a substance, that's not what you feel like in the long
Oh my
run.
God. Withdrawal is so bad. I had some handy people at my house yesterday and they're all from a treatment center. He hires people that are
Yes.
in sober living. And I got a phone call from someone that was struggling. And I was just like, don't do it. Remember what you went through 47 days ago. Remember the draw. Remember that. And they were listening in. They're like, man, I wouldn't wish that on my worst enemy. I'm like, I know that
It's
withdrawals,
so bad.
it's
And like
so bad.
pause after that, right? Like I would say like the first 6 months for me were like
Same.
pretty rough, right? Like
Yeah.
not as bad as detox, obviously, but just your emotions are up and down and you don't feel great. You feel super anxious. And I really thought like this is what sobriety feels like. Who wants to do this every day?
Yeah, and that's the thing. If that's what
Nobody.
sobriety, if sobriety was like the first 6 months, for me, it was a year. I think I cried every
Mhm.
day for a year. If that was sobriety, no one would do it. But
No.
obviously, like, look, 3 years, 5 years, we're not
Yes.
crying.
Yes. I love it. And it's so good. Like most days are so good. And I tell people all the time, I have things today that I didn't even know to pray for. Like there was a time when I just, if anything, I was like, please just make me stop feeling like this. And like now I own a home, like I'm happily married, my kids are good, I have a business. It's like, what? I would have
High five.
never thought. High five. And I have to say, like, I appreciate you so much. I messaged you on Instagram. You have like, I don't know how many followers, a lot. And you just answered me and were like, absolutely, like, literally the most humble person I've ever met. So
That's the thing.
cool.
If you're sober, you're my family,
I
period.
love that so much.
And
Like,
that's really that is how I treat everyone I meet in the sober community. You are part of my family.
I can't.
And
Just give me your phone number. Like,
yeah.
literally the most humble person ever. I have to say that because you don't always run into that, right? And I think that working a program turns you into a different person. And I'm not just speaking about AA because some people do AA, some people do other programs, whatever. But when you get sober and you work on yourself and you heal, you become a different person.
A better person.
Yes.
Yeah, for sure.
Good-hearted person.
Yeah.
Is there anything that you want to tell people or want people to know, anything like that?
I think just if you're listening to this, there's no right way or one way to get sober. Like you said, you don't have to go to AA. I'm a big believer in doing what works for you. AA worked for me. But there are a lot of other options. Find what works for you. If you tried one way and it didn't work, try another way. Like I'm sure people can reach out to you. They can reach out to me on our Instagrams. We will help you find something that works for you, because it is something that is attainable to anyone that truly wants it.
Yes, anybody who wants to get sober, you can get sober. You can reach out to me at Controlled Chaos Coaching. I'm always available and willing to work with women. They can reach out to you. What's your screen name?
Instagram, Braunwyn Windham. And as you said, if it's a sober thing, I will definitely be messaging you back. You can count on it.
Yay! Well, thank you so much for coming on. This was such a good talk.
Yeah, thank you.
As we conclude this powerful episode of Controlled Chaos, a recovery podcast, I want to extend my heartfelt gratitude to each and every listener who has joined us on this journey of resilience and renewal. These stories are shared with the hope that someone out there struggling in the shadows of addiction may find a glimmer of hope and inspiration. If you're listening and in need of support on your own path to sobriety, please remember that you are not alone. Visit my website at www.controlledchaoscoaching.com and schedule a discovery call today. Together we can explore the possibilities of healing, growth, and a brighter future ahead. Thank you for being a part of this community, for your courage in facing your challenges, and for believing in the power of transformation. Remember, there's always hope, and help is within reach. Until next time, stay strong, stay hopeful, and keep moving forward on your journey to recovery. Love you mucho.